In this lecture, we're going to see how we can pass a sized array function parameter by reference to a function. This is a simple example that is going to show us how we can do that. And we're going to see that this is going to give you a few benefits. The first thing we should look at is the syntax for this. You see, we say double sum. This is a function that is going to return a double. It's called sum. And this is the syntax we use to pass a sized array by reference. You can see that it is a little bit tricky, but it's going to come in handy at some occasions. We say const double to say that this is an array that is going to contain const double. We say the name of the array in parentheses, and we put a ampersand symbol in front of that. After that, we specify our angle brackets, and inside, we specify the size of the array. The benefit of doing things like this is that the compiler is going to enforce for this array to have 10 elements. No more, no less. If you try to put in 9 or 11 or whatever, you're going to get a compiler error. You're going to have to put in an array of double that has 10 elements. No more, no less. And if you go down here, you see that we have the same signature for the function definition. Because this is a true reference, it preserves the information about the array. Because of that reason, we can use std size on the array name like we do here. We can even use this in range-based for loops, something we could not do when the array was passed as a row array, and in that case it would decay into a pointer, and this syntax here might not work. Okay, this is the syntax to pass a sized array by reference to a function. And this is going to have a few benefits. Now we're going to head over to Visual Studio Code and actually see this in action. Okay, here we are in our working folder. The current project is 1715 here, sized arrays by reference. We're going to grab our template files and we're going to put those in place. 1715, let's do that. And we're going to open this in Visual Studio Code. And we're going to have our main CPP file. And we are going to specify our double function. It's going to be called sum, and it's going to take an array of const double. So let's say that the array name is going to be in parentheses, and in front of that, we're going to put in an ampersand symbol here. After that, we're going to specify the size of our array. We're going to say 10 elements. That's what we want. And this is going to be our declaration of our function here. So we're going to grab this, put that after the main function, and put in our function body. This is going to be our definition, let's say that. And this is going to be our declaration. And inside here, we can loop through this array and do all kinds of crazy things. For example, we are interested in doing a sum of all the elements. So we're going to set up a variable that is going to store our sum. We're going to initialize this with 0, and we're going to loop. We can say for size ti is going to be initialized to 0, and we're going to say I less than std size, and we're going to say scores. We have said score here. We should say scores because that's going to contain many scores. And we're going to put in our incrementation part here and hit the body of the loop. We don't need this parenthesis here, I think. And inside here, we're going to add whatever we have at our current iteration to the sum. So we're going to say sum plus equals, and we're going to say scores, and we're going to say I. We are using the index notation here, but if you want, you can use the pointer arithmetic notation. You can try that. For now, we're just going to do things like this. And after this, we're going to return our sum. Okay, let's see that this is going to give us what we want. We're going to have to put in 10 elements exactly. Let's clean this up a little bit. And to try this out in main, we're going to set up an array, make a sum of it, and print the result of our sum. We're going to close this left pane here because it's just eating up space. We're going to sum elements from 10 all the way to 100. We're going to store the result in sum result here, and we're going to print this out. Let's build with GCC. First, let's bring up a terminal. And we're going to run the task to build with GCC. The build is going to go through. And if we clear and run Rooster, we're going to have the sum here. If you sum these guys up, I'm sure you're going to get a 550. But let's see what happens if we take out the 100 here. Okay, we have 9 elements in here, and Visual Studio Code is going to give us a problem right away. And it's going to say, argument of type double pointer is compatible with parameter type whatever. So the compiler is going to enforce that we actually have 10 elements in here. If we ignore what Visual Studio Code is saying here and try to compile with GCC, we're going to have an even bigger problem. Look at this error here. And it's going to say something that isn't very understandable. Invalid initialization of reference of type of const double. Something not really understandable. But the problem is we have less than 10 elements in here. Let's put in a 10th element and put in a 1, for example. And we're going to add another one and have 11 elements. And this is also going to be a problem, because we really have to pass in 10 elements. No more, no less. If we deviate from this, we're going to get a compiler error. If we take out the 4 here, the compiler is going to be happy. Let's build again. The compiler is going to be happy, the build is going to be good, and everything is going to be fine. We can clear and run this. We're going to get a sum here. And again, if you sum these guys up, you're going to get this number here. This is really all we set out to do in this lecture, showing you how you can pass an array by reference. This is going to have the benefit that because this is a reference, it's going to preserve the information about the array, and we can use that to our advantage with std size here. We don't have to pass the size of the array because we can deduce that through the std size facility built into the C++ standard library. We are going to stop here in this lecture. In the next one, we're going to see how we can pass multi-dimensional arrays as function parameters. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.